Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube art tutorial channel. I'm a professional artist working from my studio in Essex in the UK and painting plein air in the countryside. Well, I've travelled down to Tintern Abbey today, and we're lucky with the weather. Sun's out, so going to do a bit of sketching, something to eat, and have a look around the lovely abbey. Well, I'm sitting here on the steps of the lovely shepherd's hut, Molehill Hut, here in Herefordshire, and just looking at, just as the sun sets, just beginning to go down behind the hut, and looking at a painting that I did today as a memory of our visit to Tintern Abbey on the borders of Wales. I think it's come off quite well, and I hope you enjoy the video. Well, I travelled to Tintern Abbey today, and I did this quick little drawing. Now, while it's clear in my mind, I want to just put on some colour. This may be a finished painting, or it may be just a sketch for a larger painting to follow. But let's see where it goes. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is to put some sort of raw sienna onto the sunlit sides of the actual abbey itself. Purely, just going to leave the windows unpainted at this stage, because that will all be revealed later as the reason why. But yeah, it's all a matter of getting sunlight onto this. I'm going to put a little drop of red in that, and that's a little alizarin crimson too, just to give it just that little bit of warmth. I do like that occasionally, just to pull the eye into the picture. Let's try a little bit more red there. There you go. And this is going to be a very loose impression of what I saw. And as you can see, I'm painting very quickly, trying to get a feeling of what I saw. There we go. A bit of red there, just dropped in there, under there. Yeah, that's it. That comes up to about there. Good. Let's now use this to give it something to sit on. There is some green there, but we'll worry about that when we come to it. There we go. So that's the start of the abbey, really. Just going to put a little more red in that for the path that runs there. There is another path, actually a wall there, which I may include, but it may disappear in the painting process. But that's something we'll find out as we go. Now, to start the sky, I'm going on to dry paper for this, just sweeping that orangey tone in, then just cleaning the brush with clean water, and I'm going to use alizarin crimson with a little of the Prussian blue, because I want that to show up quite cool. It's gone a bit grey there, that's nice too, and there was quite a bit of cloud work. Now I'm going to pick around that, creating an edge around. Just got to make certain that I end up with enough paint to finish before it actually dries. Not a lover of hard edges in this sky in particular, but of course, who knows where where we'll end up once I've finished painting. But anyway, and I've gone cooler and bluer in the distance because that's what I want to show later on. A little bit more blue over in the right hand top corner. Well, it's a bit more grey than blue, but there you go. And then we come down like that. Nice clean wash of colour initially. May end up purely clean wash of colour. That's another thing we need to. Now there's hills in the background there. So there you go. That's set the scene for the picture itself. Go. Now I have the board at an angle. I'm going to paint the dark blue-green into that because I need, well, don't necessarily need, but I'd like to have some of that growing up into the damp sky. Because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that sort of damp, not a wet day, but I'm looking for a feeling that you get sometimes with the distant trees. And it is a lovely abbey. Well worth a visit if you're in the area. Lovely tea rooms there and a lovely pub. And I'm just going to pop a bit more blue in that area there. I just feel that blue is sort of what we need. Now I'm going to come down, just add a little bit more raw sienna. I want that to reflect in the stonework. And now this is going to stand down, and that then just picking up a bit of colour from that, trying to get that loosened up. Then I'm adding cadmium lemon or lemon yellow. That would be sufficient because I want the eye to be attracted above and beyond, neither side. Perhaps just a little bit of blue there required just to match the other side. That would be nice. But other than that, no. And then as I come down, I'm going to get even darker because I want that dark area to show. So it's Windsor blue or Prussian blue with alizarin crimson. And that's when you get the soft fin of the trees. Now I'm doing a little bit at a time here because I want them to match in colour, just in case I have to remix. Just a little bit there where trees are coming, hedging and that. I don't want to do too much to that, that's for certain. And just a little bit of hedging tree work there. Brilliant, look at that. And all of a sudden, I'm hoping to get that beautiful abbey to stand in clear relief against what is in actual fact a distant blue-green. There we are. And I'm going even stronger with the red here because I don't want the eye to be pulled to these areas, and red is a distraction to a certain extent. There we go. I want it to stand in its full sunlit glory. And let's straighten that edge up because it looked a bit on the wonk, as it were, if that's a, not sure that's a term really, but there you go. But it does me. And that's pretty much the second stage really, I suppose. Now the shadow sides actually had sort of a warmth about them. I want to leave a bead on the top. Just picking around. So this is the shadow side. And this is alizarin crimson and raw sienna. I want to be a little careful, but I'm not. This is, it's more about creating a feeling of what I saw. And that's the impression I got when I looked at this lovely old building. Just point them up just a little bit more sort of the style of the whole thing. But never mind, there we go. Just paint through. And down, just a wee bit there we can see, I think. Down, and then we go across. As you can probably see, I have put the grey slate roof in, which is not difficult to paint in. So I left that. And there you go. It's got on that, but never mind. And there is a little shrub there, tops of those windows. So I'll show you what I'll do with those shortly. And then we come down. It's a bit shaky this, because I'm working on a rather unusual easel. But I'm hoping that it doesn't spoil your view of what's going on too much. Right, I've left that white paper where the tree will stand, and that comes down like that. It comes along there like that. Yeah, that's okay. And I'm going to put a little more alizarin in now for this side, purely because we're looking at the, just be a bit careful here, wood there, don't lose that light white edge there. There we go. And that's because this is in shadow. These edges are in shadow, or these faces are in shadow. A lovely big window there, and of course something a little bigger here, which is always something that needs to be depicted on these abbeys, churches, and whatever. And I just felt I liked the idea. And that's going to be in shadow and all, of course. So that comes across down to there. That's that window. Don't think there's any more windows there. There's a bit of ornate work going on up there, but I'm not getting bogged down with that. I don't think in depicting something you need to get too bogged down with the real fine details. Well, that's my initial thought, particularly with this one, because it is, there's a lot going on there, and I don't want too much shown. There's an edge there, and this is in shadow as well. There we are. So I've used warm shadows there, and we'll see if that works later on. We'll only know when we finish, which is the good thing about this sort of painting. There we are. That wall has also got shadow. Yeah, and there is a wall at the front, which I'm going to use a little bit lighter, a bit more yellow. Take some colour off the brush, and this is going to, it is officially in shadow, but it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to show a shadow there. It can always be darkened later, and there's that there with the gate opening. There's also another wall here apparently that will be, probably will disappear eventually with a with my favourite foreground shadow. What I have done here, I've just done the edge that's in shadow, leaving a hint at the sunlight catching the sections. So it's just underneath and down. With that in mind, I'm going to continue with these areas the same manner. Underneath and down. And all of a sudden, you've got a recess these lovely old windows have. And if you can get that on these church windows, then you have every chance of sort of creating the illusion, and I will say illusion, but it's an illusion of shadows and light, you know. So no need to be perfect. In fact, mine are far from perfect, but they are sufficient to tell the viewer that somewhere along the line those windows are recessed. Now I'm going to paint a little bit of a shadow over a section there and run that through, and all will be revealed shortly on that. And then I'm going to weaken it just a touch, and I'm going to paint, this is in shadow as well. We paint this wall in shadow. There's an area at the front there that's in sunlight, and I'm painting the way it stands, and it is a rough topped wall, so it's going to be painted like that, leaving a touch of those colours that I laid on earlier for the wall unpainted. And all of a sudden, whoop, there you go, rough old wall. And we have, of course, that finishes there, and then we have a shadow where it extends beyond there. And we have an shadow where it extends beyond there. And even now, I'm going to paint in the cross sections like that of this gate. Whether that's the right thing to do at this stage with this brush, I don't know, but there you go. Gives an impression of that. Oh, and there's another wall here that, as I said, not sure exactly what I should be doing with that yet, but all will be revealed when I make my mind up. This is the interesting part, and it's make or break time, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to paint a casting shadow across there, but this is just with the blue, right? And that will then slope down like that. And then I'm going to paint that right the way down. And the good thing about watercolour is that be very careful you don't wipe off the other colour. All of a sudden, that's made that a warm shadow just by painting blue over it. Got a little bit to do there. And that's going to come a little bit further out, because I like the feeling that some of that also has shadow there. Then we have shadow under the overhang of that roof. It'll be quite a deep shadow. And, of course, not forgetting the shadow on the left-hand side of that is a shadow running down there. It will also be of interest, I think. And that would then come through like that to that corner. And then this is in shadow, but not that bit, I don't think, that shines through there. But if you do, I'm going to paint a little bit of that out. There we go. What I would say is, don't overdo this. And by all means, load the brush and one sweep of colour. It's all that's required. Once you do 2 or 3, you are in danger of removing the paint underneath. Some colours stain and stay better than others, but by all means, make certain that one sweep of colour on a well-loaded brush. And that's the thing that I think makes this painting stand out. So I used a warm tone, then I used a cool tone over that warm tone, and that's when I created atmosphere that wouldn't have been quite as pronounced if I'd not have done that. I'm going to darken that off as well. Don't want that in shadow. And that would then cast, that would all be in shadow. There is a bead of shadow somewhere down there. I'm going too dark with this shadow. And yeah, let's allow that to dry and we'll put on our finishing touches. I'm now putting in finishing touches, which are with a warm sort of grey, just the red and the blue really, and be fairly warm. And I've put one or two in there, as you can see. But when you do this, you've got to be rather careful that you don't overdo it. Just putting a little bit down there just to highlight the light. You know, sometimes when you put a dark area in it, it creates the lighter area to shine out a touch. And it's a lovely old building, and it needs to be sort of delicately finished, I suppose you could say, if that's the term. But it's that warm against the cool colours that I'm really sort of working on and hoping that works. And of course we do have some little edgings here. That is always something that I put in. Not sure what we've got here, but there is just a little bit of ornate colour texture there that can be just gently teased away. I don't want to make too much. Notice how I've built in that area. In this area I've knocked back a touch. But overall, we do have quite an uneven little top to that. Nice to put some little dark touches on that, I think. Dark touches on that. This foreground, yeah, I think it could take a shadow. Let me show you what I think would work best. Now, I know it does seem unusual, but I just like a foreground shadow, either coming from the right or coming from the left. There's nothing here really, but I just like to light up the building. I'm still playing with the idea of just shadowing that, whether that would be sufficient to hold in, and then some little touches along that, like a wall area. I mean, that does put a little bit of light into the foreground. Or do we sweep run right the way across? Comes probably to there. Well, funny enough, it's too late now because that's in. What I do, I just gently pull back in with some water so that blurs that away. There we go, that rises up into it, perhaps a little bit there, and just pull that through. There we are. Yes, allow that to dry, and then we sign up. Well, there you have it. I've taken the surround away, so we've got white paper. I'm just going to sign it up in my normal signature that I do now. It's a bit more stylised, but I just feel that is my signature. Tintern Abbey here in the lovely Welsh border.